Hi everyone, I'm Dalen and welcome to Book Club. I want to give a really quick explanation on how I want this series to look and work since this is the first episode of it ever. So I feel like it's important for all of us to have an understanding so we don't have to have this conversation again. Theoretically, we will be choosing a book together that we're going to read over the next 3 weeks. Each week I will be posting a video book club of my thoughts and feelings and going over things that happened and kind of talking it out. Hopefully you will also be where we're at, can comment and talk about it as well, and I'll be like, oh my god, didn't you see that? That was so crazy. And you'd be like, oh my god, that was so crazy. And I'd be like, I know, it's so crazy. Anyway. Hopefully, each book that we read, I will be splitting up into 3 parts, unless the book is, like, huge. These 2, for example. Heated Rivalry, pretty small book. Obviously, I think I read this in, 1 week. This is a very easy read for 3 weeks. However, A Court of Silver Flames is a big-ass bitch. And for most people, you can't read this in 3 weeks. I think I also read this in 1 week, but most people have other things going on in their lives, so we need to make space for them. So this would probably be more like 4 or 5 weeks. Obviously, we can adjust as we go, really feel it out. This is the first time I'm doing this, so, trial and error will happen, but at one point we'll get it perfect. Anyway, I'm just really excited for this. I think this is something that could be really fun, and we can just kind of build a club together and share and read and talk and discuss and have fun reading. I think reading's really fun, and I know a lot of people think reading's really fun, and so I would love us to have fun together. Please, 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 I seriously encourage you to pick up this book and read along with me, however means is appropriate for you, whether you do end up purchasing the physical copy or renting it from a library, or I know YouTube has free audiobooks, so please, I think it'll be a lot of fun if we kind of kept up with each other and we could check in and discuss, and I don't know, I think and have a book club. I think it would be fun if we all stuck to the book club code and read together. Anyway, without further ado, the first book that we are reading, or at least I am reading for our book club, is The Long Game by the one and only Rachel Reed. Obviously, since this is the first episode ever, there was not a moment for us to discuss the first book that we're reading. So obviously, if you have not read this book, hopefully not, I give you the chance now to pick it up and then come back. I read chapters 1 through 12. That is the first part of this book out of 3. So I encourage you to stop this now and pick this up, or do whatever you need to. Consume chapters 1 through 12 and then come back here. This book has given me an anxiety that has not left me all week. I have been thinking about this book every single day, and when I'm not thinking about it, I'm asleep because that's the only time I'm not thinking about it. We cover a lot of deep, impactful issues in such a short amount of time, I feel like. Which I think is an incredible work by Rachel. She really does an amazing job writing conflict that doesn't feel forced or out of the blue or unfeasible. Everything makes sense and it all works, and it's so good and it's so painful, and it's so good. It's a really hard book to put down once you really get into it. Obviously, if you are reading The Long Game, you have either watched or read Heated Rivalry. The only reason I didn't start book club with Heated Rivalry was because of the show. Obviously, everyone and their mother on this living planet Earth has seen the show, which is skyrocketed into this huge, huge, awesome, fandom. I, like most people, was utterly consumed by Heated Rivalry for quite a few months. I immediately purchased this book. I read it in a couple of days. It's all over my TikTok, my For You page. Me and a friend of mine went to 2 different Heated Rivalry rave club nights in LA. I'm in it. I'm in it. I love these characters. I love this series. I haven't read any of the other books. I don't know if I want to read any of the other books. Maybe if you want to read any of the other books, you can let me know and we can have a book club discussion about it, and maybe we'll read the other ones. But I'm not quite convinced. Shane and Ilya's is really only the story that I care about, but they're also the ones that have the most content. Like, duh, there's a show. So I don't know. I'm sure the other books are just as good, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. So let me know if you want to read the other ones. I could be convinced to read the other ones. You just gotta let me know. The only reason we didn't start with this is because I already read it, and that defeats the purpose of book club. I hadn't thought of doing this until after I read this book. So we would have done this if I hadn't already read it. But if you haven't read it, please do. I think chapter 1 through 12 is like the perfect amount of setup. I think the end of chapter 12 really like kickstarts where we're going. Like it really is starting to push forward. So it's making me nervous because I haven't obviously read any of the other chapters. So I'm like stressed because now I really feel like we're going somewhere. Now we're really getting into the story and I'm stressed out about it. We're obviously going to kind of like summarize all the chapters and talk about important quotes and passages and stuff, but I really want to talk about some main themes that I read and I'm sure you picked up on as well. I think we'll carry on into the rest of the book, so I would like us to like keep referencing these themes when we see these things happen and pop up. There's quite a few of them. Maybe some of them aren't quite themes. Listen, I haven't taken a literature class since I was in high school, which was many years ago for me now, so I don't really know what counts as a theme or something that's it's something that's reoccurring, right? Like something that's reoccurring constantly is a theme, and that's what I'm going to call it. And if it's not, hey, you can let me know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but a theme is just a big point that is reoccurring. Okay, so anyway, some themes that I saw were both like, maybe these two are just ideas. The idea of Shane's perspective on their relationship and the situation that they're in versus Ilya's, because they're very, very different and they parallel each other quite a lot, which is just so good. It's so painfully good. It's like, I don't want this, but I also love that it's happening. It's just because of the writing so good. It's just the writing so good that it's like, why would you do this to me? But thank you also. Shane's personal relationship with hockey versus Ilya's personal relationship with hockey. Again, two completely different. They parallel each other a lot. I hate it and I love it. Shane's very apparent eating disorder and Ilya's depression. Again, two sides of the same coin, very different, awful to read about and really sad because obviously we really care about these characters now and, you know, I don't want them to go through these. I almost died and you were almost a witness. This was almost a news documentary. That scared the shit out of me. And I'm being so dramatic too because my chair leans back. It leans back perfectly fine. I don't even remember where I was. That completely threw me off track. What was I talking about? Their mental states. Both of them have, both of them are battling with different battles, which, affects their relationship because one thing we know about these two is they can't communicate properly. Now, we're getting into the actual book. I'm going to summarize the chapter. I'm going to talk about it a little bit, point out some key quotes or like things that I liked, and then we'll move on. I'm going to try to do this as quickly as possible. I don't want to dote on this too much because obviously we've all read it, so I don't need to explain the chapters to you. You read the damn book. Duh. But I don't know. It's for me to also remember what specifically happened here so I know what to talk about. Please be nice to me. Chapter 1, he signed with Shane's agent. I thought that was so cute. Ilya's really putting all of his eggs into one Shane-shaped basket. Like, he's really, what else is there for him to be a part of? He, both of his parents are passed and he has a horrible family, so he's not close with any of them. So besides, hockey, there's nothing that Ilya, I guess, really has. We find out Shane is a free agent at the end of this year, which, hey, I'm not a sports kind of guy. I don't really know how, the free agents and all that stuff works. I'm going to guess how this works. And if I'm wrong, again, correct me if you feel so inspired to. But to me, I think that when you get signed as a rookie, you are guaranteeing a set amount of years with that team for being the team that they debuted you. It's oh, if we invite you to play for us, then you have to commit like this X amount of years. I think that's how it works. And so now Shane's X amount of years is up, so he can technically play for any team that he wants to, but he doesn't want to play for any other team. I'm just saying that I think that's how that works. And if it's not how that works, I love them so much. I really, really do. I really, really do. I'm so excited for season 2 of Heated Rivalry, which obviously is based off of the long game. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Consider this like prep. This can be our prep for like when season 2 comes out, which I think is supposed to come out like April of next year. So we're like countdown 1 year until season 2 comes out. So this is our prep. We're getting ready for that. First mention of Shane's eating disorder, Ilya just says, "You eat nothing." In the context of they just came out to the agent, well, now they knew how easy it would be for someone to put 2 and 2 together if they knew the truth about Ilya's sexuality, which, yeah. That's a little unfortunate. Shane loved Ilya so much it physically hurt to contain it some days. Oh, Lord. Oh, here I think is one of our first, like, mentions of Shane's personal, like, relationship with hockey. He says, at the moment, Shane and Ilya were both at their prime, 29 years old. Shane had just led his team to his 3rd Stanley Cup victory, while Ilya was the captain of a much worse team. He was still putting up big numbers in Ottawa. They were both superstars, and they both had a lot of hockey left in them. Shane had every intention of playing another decade at least, and he expected Ilya to do the same. Which I thought expect is crazy, and I think his attitude in that way continues into the later chapters where he's kind of like, Shane sees hockey in a different light than Ilya does. Obviously, Ilya basically uses hockey as an out, and he always has. It was the only thing that he had personally when growing up, especially in his horrible home life, that kind of let him escape. But now that he's with Ottawa, and we'll talk about it more when we get to the later chapters talking about it, but that's kind of also been stripped away from him. It's kind of crazy because Shane's so blind to that. He gets the hard things that Ilya goes through, but he doesn't understand them. And so he kind of has this like haze over him where he's just like, yeah, Ilya should be doing this, and he wants to do this, when maybe he doesn't. I'm actually surprised that he's still in hockey. We'll talk about that later. Chapter 2, I'm going to say specifically the Hollander dinner too. It's just so cute to see Ilya be so accepted into Shane's family, which is something that he really, really needs and probably is very healing for him. And so it just like tickles my heart to know that he's getting that now. And I'm just so happy for him. On the flip side, his reoccurring nightmare that he's having with his mother is actually, like, I hate it. It's making me so upset. When I, like, started reading this first, like, paragraph explaining the dream in chapter 2, I literally gasped. I was like, like, I, like, could not believe. Why? That's so awful. There's a lot of things, and I think we really could dissect what the meaning of Ilya's reoccurring nightmare is. I have a lot of ideas. Obviously, he states himself, the vortex of feelings that the dream always churned up inside of him, the joy of seeing his mother again, the heartbreak of realizing it wasn't real, and the frustration of Shane not moving fast enough or not caring enough. It was this last emotion that Ilya needed to shake off the most, because it was ridiculous. Shane cared. Shane cared enough that he'd suggested naming their charity after his mother. Cute, right? The frustration of Shane not moving fast enough or not caring enough is so... I think, at least right now, obviously as we read more in the other parts, we can kind of dissect this more. Almost feels like maybe Shane won't be fast enough to understand Ilya before something crazy happens, which I'm not even going to suggest. We know that there's a 3rd book coming out, so we don't have to worry about that. Do not worry, that won't happen. There's a 3rd book about them coming out, so we're safe. However, that kind of alludes to it. Or he feels very misunderstood and unseen and unheard by Shane, even though they're going through pretty similar things with just the relationship specifically. Again, I think Shane kind of almost has this like mask over his eyes where he's not understanding how different this situation is for Ilya, and so he's not being able to have like sympathy and empathy for him and supporting him, which obviously can lead to conflict later. Please let me know your preemptive dissections of what you think this dream means. I would love to hear your other theories, as well as, just to jump back to the beginning, if there are other reoccurring themes or things that are really important that you think we should keep in mind, please let me know. Tell me everything. Literally write all of your thoughts in the comments. I want to know. I want to read them and respond. I want us... This is a club, okay? No secrets. Can we make that a rule? No secrets in the club. No thoughts on thought in the club, okay? In the club, we are all family. Are you racist? When Ilya wakes up from his dream and he goes to like greet Shane in the kitchen, and Shane's obviously stressed about the campus and stuff, and Shane goes, because he's like all stressed out and shit, and then so Shane goes, "Your mom hasn't been texting all week with stressful details about this damn camp," and Ilya just responds, "No, she hasn't." So fucking awful. Again, I gasped when I read that. And then Shane doesn't apologize. Again, he's wearing a mask. He's blind. I understand that he's stressed and he's thinking about other things. There are other things happening right now. But especially after Ilya, like, kind of needs the support. Obviously, Shane doesn't know because Ilya hasn't come to him talking to him about the dream that he's having. But he's in this very vulnerable state, and Shane just immediately goes and does that fucking shit to his face and then doesn't apologize, for which Ilya then has to pick up the pieces himself and just be like, you know what, like, he didn't mean it. Like, he didn't mean it. It's fine. Like, that sucks. And we see that happen again, I think, in a later chapter. I'll bring it up when we get there, hopefully, if I remember. But this is something that Shane does a lot, which, again, he doesn't have the sympathy and empathy for Ilya. Words. Where Ilya will be in this really vulnerable state, and to also a little bit of his fault, he doesn't say how he's feeling to Shane, so Shane doesn't know, but Ilya's in having like a really hard time and he's feeling really vulnerable, and then Shane just kind of like stomps all over it on accident. He doesn't mean to. They're both not communicating correctly, but it just keeps happening, which again, I can see where the conflict's coming from. Tell me in Russian scene. Oh my god, it's everything I needed after Heated Rivalry. It's so short, a little couple sentences. I love it so much. It's so cute. I'm just gonna read it again for all of us. "You're unfairly handsome in the mornings, you know that?" Ilya grinned. Tell me in Russian. Shane's nose scrunched up in concentration. Not gonna try and pronounce that. Ilya's heart fluttered the way it always did when Shane attempted Russian. Close enough. "No. Tell me how I could have said it better," Shane insisted. That is all I need. The real reason Ilya was so jealous. He was terrified that one day Shane would realize he could be with someone who wasn't a dark secret, that it could be easy to love someone. See, why the fuck do you say things like this to me? Ilya and Shane's mom. I'm helping. Ilya couldn't resist pointing out, "I know you are." Yuna patted his cheek. "And that's why you're my favorite son." Oh my god. It felt, as it always did to Ilya, wonderful and surreal at the same time. He'd never expected to have this domestic comfort in his life. Not with anyone. He'd never expected to be part of a family and have parents again. He would do absolutely everything to protect this, and he was constantly terrified that, when it came to it, he wouldn't be able to because the day would come. Oh, so much going on here. and it's stressing me out. I could, like, my heart is pounding, and I've already read this. And my heart is, I should be wearing my Apple Watch. I wonder what my heart rate is at, because it's still, like, I'm nervous, and I'm, like, almost sweating about it. There's so much that, you know, he's so happy to be a part of a family, but he knows inevitably if they don't just rip off the Band-Aid, which, hey, I think they should, but if they did, there wouldn't be a book. It will come out, and to them, who knows what's gonna happen and how it's gonna affect everything. I understand the stress and, like, huge impact that this could have on their lives. I get that. Rachel ends the chapter saying, he closed his eyes and focused on how good it felt to be with Shane, alone in the dark, and tried not to wish it could be the same in the light. I'm sorry, my day's ruined. Thank you, Rachel. My day's fucking ruined. What? Why? Why would you say that? Chapter 3, I looked it up. The book Tough Guy, which I'm pretty sure is the book right before Heated Rivalry? Or it's the book immediately after it. Because I think there was a book in between Heated Rivalry and The Long Game. But Tough Guy is about Ryan and Fabian's relationship, which is really cute. And reading this book, I do almost want to read it. But again, at the same time, I don't know. There's also, like, a million other books that I really want to read. And so it's like, I don't know if I want to read, like, go back and read all of the Game Changer series enough to trump over the other books that I really want to read right now. So I just don't know. Please let me know. I could be persuaded. I loved when Shane, like, fucking corners Ryan in the equipment room to ask him out, ask him and his boyfriend out on a double date, and Ryan just whips around and is like, I haven't told anyone. And Shane's like, yeah, I wasn't worried about it. And Shane's like, you're not the only one that knows. And he's so thankful because Ryan's so... See, this is why I think their book could be really interesting, because Ryan's like this big, you know, big scary guy. They always, like, talk about how scary he is, but he's really, really anxious and shy and scared. And so it's like, Fabian, as we've come to meet, is this really beautiful, gorgeous, flamboyant gay man who's, you know, not afraid. And so, I see their dynamic could be so cute. I kind of want to read it. I don't know. Excuse me. As well as the loon tattoo near his left shoulder that Shane couldn't believe Ilya had gotten. He'd surprised Shane with it a couple months ago and had blamed being bored while Shane was in playoffs, but Shane knew it wasn't something Ilya had gotten out of boredom. The tattoo meant something to the both of them. It represented their time together in the summers at their home on the lake. I hope that they bring the loon tattoo into the show adaptation. I understand why they might not, because obviously in the books, Ilya has a big ass fucking bear tattoo on his chest, which he doesn't very clearly have in the show. So I understand why they maybe won't put the loon tattoo in the show adaptation. I just really, really hope they do, because that's so fucking cute. That's so cute. And also, there's a fucking loon on the spine of the book. Also, I heard people talking about how they hope that they don't bring Shane's long hair into the show adaptation, which I think is an insane take. Have you seen Hudson Williams? His hair's long right now. He kind of wears like a mullet thing. Like, the back is long. He looks incredible. It is much better than the fuck-ass cut they had him wear for season 1. I think you are crazy if you would prefer what haircut he had in season 1 to what Hudson Williams is currently wearing. Like, his hair looks so good long. I hope they have him keep it long. Here, I'm going to talk about Shane's little bit of internalized homophobia. Really blatantly not straight in a way that Shane wasn't used to. The kind of man who, when Shane had been younger and still figuring himself out, he would look at and think, I'm not gay because I'm not like him. It wasn't a good way to think about anything. But even as a gay man who was in love with another man who he had gay sex with, Shane couldn't help the knee-jerk reaction of uneasiness in Fabian's presence. Which just proved that Shane needed to spend more time around other queer people, particularly queer people who didn't play hockey. So I think it's important, like, and to commend him for not, like, for being able to be like, yes, this needs to change. I can't think like this. It's really something interesting about his character that I think adds a lot of depth and a lot of, like, colors to his character. His character is very colorful. He's not just one note. I also want to point out when, Ilya's introducing himself and Shane, he goes, I am Ilya, and this is my Shane. Which, just, like, as soon as I read it, it just really reminded me of this one, MHA cosplay TikTok.
This is my Todoroki. No, wait, no.
If you know, you know. But everyone knows you're friends, obviously. You have this charity together. What difference does it make if you also kiss? I'm fucking saying, Ryan, because Ryan thanks them for inviting him to coach the camp because it's been somewhat healing for him. He had a bad breakup with hockey, you know? I don't think he's ever regretted retiring, but he misses how hockey used to make him feel before it made him feel bad all the time. And that's just so heartbreaking. Also because we are seeing that in real time with Ilya. When we get to that chapter, I'll talk about it more, but it's just, it's really sad because Ilya is now experiencing that, not in the same way. They're going through the same, but not same thing right now, which is really sad. I just love this little scene that we end the book with. Do you think we looked like that to them? What, sexy? I probably did. No, like, in love. Ilya seemed to consider the question before answering. We are very good at pretending to not be in love. Maybe we are bad at showing it when we are allowed. Chapter 4, and they all share the same sentiment except for Shane, that hockey is pretty fucked up, but they all love it anyway. Which, again, I think is important for Shane's personal relationship with hockey because he gets really uncomfortable really quickly being like, hockey's never, like, made me feel bad, like, because I think in perhaps a good way, Shane is really good at separating hockey from his personal life. And so I think him saying hockey's never made me feel bad is maybe not entirely true, because in a way it does. He's not able to be open about his relationship with Ilya because of the hockey world and how homophobic it is. But he does separate the two, which could be a good thing, is maybe a bad thing. I don't know. This chapter was kind of like, obviously it's important, but to me nothing really crazy happened. Like, we have that cute interaction between Ilya breaking up the fight between the two boys, but maybe I'm just dense and you can shed some light on it to me. I don't see a huge need for that. I don't know, like, it didn't, like, it's cute that it happened. It doesn't feel important to me. Like, I can't really say why that was important or what significance it has over the story overall. But you let me know. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. I just think this is really sweet because of how much Hayden and Ilya hate each other. But he secretly admired his ability to parent 4 young children. He was a good dad. As far as Ilya could tell, his kids were great, his wife Jackie was awesome. Ilya probably envied him, but he would never admit it. Chapter 5. I think the interactions between Ryan and Ilya are really, really cute in this scene about how Ilya feels really proud of Ryan, like, for him finding such an amazing guy and being so, like, confident in the relationship. And also, like, talking about how he's never, like, seen him look so sexually charged before. Because he's a shy, like, anxious guy. I don't know. I love the compassion that Ilya holds. Like, he gets this, like, reputation of being, like, an asshole and, like, whatever. But he's, like, probably the most compassionate and empathetic character in the series. And I really, really love that, like, dual side of him. I feel like this book specifically, because Heated Rivalry was, I feel, mostly in Shane's perspective, because I think the biggest thing that was happening besides their relationship was Shane coming to terms with his sexuality. In the long game, however, I think this book is mainly in Ilya's perspective. And so we focus a lot on how he's feeling and what he's thinking. And he has a really hard time in this, like, chapter watching Fabian's show because he just wants to be normal. He craves that, like, affection with Shane. He says that he wished he could just be, like, standing behind him, holding him as they're watching. Like, it's just so sad. And he, like, is having a really hard time, and he's very desperate for anything. Thankfully, Shane just kind of, like, puts his hand on his lower back, which isn't, like, huge, but for them it is, which I was glad, but it's just really sad for someone who's never really been shown any kind of love in his life to have it, but not have it at the same time. Like, how absolutely devastating is that? And he's so, like, nice and compassionate and empathetic for everyone else. We get a clarification on the club scene from the previous book, because in the show, Shane goes home with Rose and has sex with her while thinking about Ilya. Ilya goes home alone and, you know, masturbates while he's thinking of Shane. But that doesn't happen in the books. In the book, we know that Ilya didn't go home with anyone, you know, whatever. But we didn't know what happened with Shane. If he did, I'm pretty sure. Maybe. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure we don't really see where Shane goes at the end of the night. So maybe we just assume that he does go home with Rose. Wrongo! We find out that he goes home alone and has to pull over on the side of the road because he's crying so much that he can't drive after seeing Ilya in the club. Like, I could not believe it. What an amazing clarification on the club scene. I am so glad we got that, because that, you know, like, it's immediately after that night that Shane realizes his feelings for Ilya, and not only that, but his own, like, sexuality. Like, that was, like, the concrete, like, moment where he was like, yeah, this is kind of how it is, unfortunately. But not actually, unfortunately. And it's just that clarification sends both those realizations through the roof. Oh my god. I'm so glad that we got that, because that's so, like, I'm going to talk about their parallels between how they see their relationship differently and the situation that they're in differently. And I love that both of these sides are on the same pages, like almost right next to each other. It's sick. I literally wrote on my book, "Shut up, I'm sick," because it's just, why? I get it and I love it, but why also at the same time? Again, Ilya's really struggling in the show, in the bar. He's talking about how achingly beautiful Shane was and how he was more fascinating to Ilya than anything else in the room. He wanted so desperately to touch him. Sometimes Ilya was so starved for touch he felt like screaming. He was beyond devoted to Shane wholeheartedly, and their sex life was beyond anything he had ever experienced with another person, but he missed being touched. Most of all, though, he missed the comfort he got from human touch. Right now, in this club in Montreal, he wanted the comfort from the man he was in love with. "Kiss me," Ilya wanted to say. "Kiss me and hold me in front of all of these people. Pull me on stage and do it. I don't care anymore. Please, I'm dying." Oh my god. And then, immediately, I'm not kidding, a mini paragraph between that, we get Shane's perspective, the forbidden aspect of their relationship, the discipline it took to hide how hot they were for each other, still did it for Shane. It was sexy. Get me out of here! Why would you say that? What? Like, Ilya being so horribly upset and depressed and, like, like inside of his head. It's crazy. And Shane just being like, it's kind of hot though. Oh, no, I don't like it. I actually hate it. It's sick that both of those are on the same page, only a couple sentences between each other. Another sentence here. Shane being like, the reward for a job well done. Shane thrived on that sort of thing. In, like, you know, in relevance to hiding their relationship and being so good at hiding it that they get to, you know, have explosive sex at the end. Shane has this weird thing about control, and it really ties into his eating disorder, which I will talk about later when that really comes up. Mine, Shane thought. The world doesn't need to know because I know. But Ilya doesn't want that. You might be okay, Shane, with the world not knowing because you know and you are justified and secure in that. Ilya is not, unfortunately. Ilya wants the world to know and he feels desperate for that. Yeah, see, Ilya doesn't want to be fucking, like, secret anymore. I would never stop showing you off, Ilya said, if I could. Chapter 6! Shane, for some reason, starts a weird fight with Ilya before he leaves, about, like, how many men Ilya has slept with, which, again, maybe you can shed some light on it for me. I'm a little too dense. I don't understand why he starts this weird fight argument with Ilya about obsessing about how many men he's been with. I don't know. I thought it was weird. I don't understand why he did that. Please let me know some clarification on why you think he did that, because it didn't make sense to me. Chapter 7, I say, is single-handedly the worst chapter I have read so far, in a good way. It's devastating. I hated reading this chapter. It's so upsetting and sad, and it's horrible. It's awful. It talks about Shane and how much he loves being on Montreal and how he's a free agent at the end of the season, but he has no doubts about signing with them again. He doesn't want to even look at the other teams. His number will retire with Montreal. And then immediately on the opposite side, it literally starts with Ilya saying he hates it. Oh! Upsetting, because Ottawa's a horrible team. They haven't won, they don't have any cups, they don't have any crowds, they have nothing. It's like almost pointless for Ilya. Like, it's not fun anymore. And it's so sad because he obviously did this for Shane. But he doesn't really, when Shane's gone, he doesn't have anything. Like, hockey was his one thing when he was going through his horrible home life that he had to escape and, like, vent with. And so now he doesn't have that anymore. And it's really, I actually hate it. It makes me feel sick. Like, I can feel it in my throat. It makes me feel sick. The situation that Ilya's in with, like, hockey and stuff like that. But really quick, we meet, their social media manager, Harris, I think his name. And I found out that the book Role Model in the series is about him and his lover, who I don't think we've met. Maybe we have, but I don't think we have. Again, maybe I could read that one. Someday his number would hang from the rafters too. He had no doubt that it would be retired here. He'd earned that. Same page. Ilya hated it. This passage pissed me off so crazy. It pissed me off so bad. So bad. This team strove for perfection, always. It wasn't easy being a Voyager, but at least the hard work and sacrifice paid off. He couldn't imagine being on a team like Ottawa. Ilya rarely complained about it, but Shane wouldn't be able to cope with the embarrassment of losing that often. It was a bit disappointing, if he was being honest, that Ilya didn't care anymore. He missed actually competing against Ilya. These days, there wasn't much challenge. Are you fucking insane? Shane is so dense about the situation that Ilya is facing with hockey. And again, he has this blindfold on. He doesn't get it. He's not seeing the whole picture. That's so fucking awful. Like, Ilya's going through such a hard time with his mental state and everything, and the lack of, like, fulfillment he's getting when Shane's not around, and the lack of purpose when Shane's not around. And then for Shane to go, but why doesn't he care? I want him to compete against me. It's not fun for me because he doesn't care. That actually makes me so mad. Like, I could feel the hot rage in my heart. But Ilya just couldn't. Not tonight. He didn't have the energy to even fake it tonight. Later in bed, Ilya couldn't get his brain to shut up. It was unfortunate because his brain had nothing nice to say about him. He knew rationally that he wasn't worthless. He was an H&L all-star, the captain of his team, and beloved by fans. He had a wonderful boyfriend who loved him so much he was willing to endure a lot of stress and sneaking around just to be with him. He was loved, but he wasn't sure he deserved to be. He couldn't make himself believe that. Not right now. Weak. His brain said it in his father's voice, disgusted and cruel. Ilya grabbed his phone off of the nightstand. Maybe he was weak, but he needed whatever he could get from Shane right now. A sleepy selfie, a good night text, a heart emoji, anything. The next morning, Shane woke to find a missed text on his phone sent after 1 a.m. Ilya asking him if he's awake. Shane huffed and shook his head. Was Ilya ever not horny? I'm pissed, actually. I'm actually seething with red hot rage at Shane. Again, like I said earlier, he's not aware of it. I understand. He's not meaning it. Ilya's not communicating how he's feeling. I get it. But the coincidence of Ilya feeling so at his lowest and vulnerable just for Shane to disregard him. I can't take it. I can't take it. I'm actually getting chills. I have full body chills all over. It's awful. Why? I hate that. It's so sad. Chapter 8. This chapter was just really, really cute. Nothing bad happens. Thank God, I needed a little breather after the last chapter. Ilya's at the Hollander residence to watch Shane's game, and he's just curled up on the couch with a blanket and some ice cream after having dinner and playing games with the parents, which is just so awesome. He deserves this. He watches Shane perform his signature move, and then they have a silly phone call where maybe some sexy things happened. Chapter 9. I want to mention, and we'll see this even more in the next couple chapters because we're almost done. Kids is a really huge thing throughout this book. I didn't want to call it a theme, even though we see it a lot. I guess specifically in these first 12 chapters. I haven't read the rest of the book. Maybe this is all that this is a part of. But kids is like a huge thing, like with the hockey camps, and they always talk about how much good dads they would be. And then in a later chapter, they like babysit for Hayden, like it's just, kids are a huge thing. And they always, when they're around, talk about how much they love seeing the other take care of kids, and like one day they'll have kids. And I'm like, they're mentioning it so much. Are we going to end this book with them adopting? Like, that's what it seems like it's building up to, the way it's so important. And I didn't want to call it a theme because I really, really don't think they are going to, like, end up with kids, at least at the end of this book. So it's like, I don't know. But it's just mentioned so much that I don't want to not talk about that. But I don't know. I almost feel like it doesn't go anywhere. It's just crazy how big it is in here. They mention how they delete their text conversations whenever they like pertain to linking one another to their relationship, which I understand the precautions that they're taking to keep it a secret, but I think that's over dramatic. No one's going through your text messages, babe. Like, you can keep that. Like, you are allowed to have your privacy in that way. I think, and I know it's Shane's idea. Elliot talks about it, but it's like, I think them going that crazy about it in that aspect, whereas they're like, openly making out with each other at the camps. It's like, if we gotta choose one thing to get rid of to keep our secret, I would say the kissing at the camps should go, and you guys can probably keep your private text conversations. I don't think it needs to be that crazy. As much as the lousy attendance was a running joke amongst his teammates, Ilya honestly hated it. But Ilya was tired of waiting, tired of losing. He wanted a star right wing player on his team now. He wanted a lot of things now. He remembered when hockey had been fun. That one specifically hurts me. Again, like I've said a million times, hockey was his out at like the lowest time in his life. And now he doesn't even have that. When Shane's not around, he has nothing. And that's so upsetting. I genuinely, I don't even know why he's even still playing hockey. Like at this point, I feel like he should have just retired. Like what is he's not getting anything out of it. If anything, it's making him feel worse. But I guess at the same time, like if he's not doing hockey when Shane's not around, what else would he be doing? Just sitting at home wallowing in his depression? Maybe that's worse. I don't know. I can't believe he's still even playing. Chapter 10, we get Shane and Rose going on a shopping date. She asks them about, their relationship and how everything's doing. And then Shane calls Ilya and they do more off-book horny stuff. Pretty short chapter. Nothing crazy besides, again, Rose, asking them how everything's going and Shane being like, oh, I wish we can come out, but we just can't right now. And Rose is like, bro, you need a backup plan because what if this, turns to shit? And Shane's like, maybe you're right, but baby, there is no backup plan. Baby, what's the backup plan? When it comes out, it's out. There's no takeies backies. It's done deal. There can't be a backup plan. The only thing I really, really want to mention is a huge thing for Shane with his food and stuff. I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier. And she asks, is it worth it though? Does the clean eating make you feel better? He says, I keep saying it does, but it might just be the discipline that makes me feel better, not the food. I like to practice discipline and self-control and be rewarded for it. That's all. Crazy. This goes way beyond food, which is why it's an eating disorder. And we see it also play into his life, his sexual life. We saw it when we're talking at the bar and he's like, oh, I like, proving and having the self-discipline about how good we are about hiding the relationship. And then my reward is their explosive sex and whatever and all that stuff. It's bad. I don't even know what to call that, to characterize that, what issue that is. But he, the need for control, and I understand why he has that. His life feels kind of out of control. He can't control this really huge thing when their relationship, I'm saying when because obviously it has to happen, when their relationship comes out, he can't control how necessarily that happens, and then the backlash and the result of that coming out, he can't control any of that. So I understand his want to control what he can, but that's bad. That's insane a little bit. And I need him to be on the phone with a therapist. Chapter 11. Shane and Ilya are finally seeing each other after 3 weeks and they're playing a game against each other. Ilya takes a bad knee injury, but besides some bruising, he's fine. Ilya gets stuck in traffic on his way to Shane's house, and the rest of the chapter is just really horny, sexy stuff. In almost the opposite of Shane's blind to what Ilya's going through, Ilya's a little blind with what Shane's going through. He thinks it's kind of sexy, him wanting to be, praised and rewarded for, doing certain things. But it shouldn't be praised and rewarded with how insane Shane is about that aspect in every bit of his life. We should not be rewarding this behavior, unfortunately, because it's just too much. It's too much the way he's taking this. And finally, chapter 12, they have a fake wedding for them, which is just so cute because they're both so emotional about it. And I love it. And then the chapter takes all these lovey, cute feelings you're having over the fake wedding and just crushes them by having Shane try to thankfully talk to Ilya about maybe his mental issues, maybe he's feeling sad, maybe he's feeling depressed, and just letting him know that Shane will be there for him, and Ilya being like, no, I don't have that. In fact, stop talking about it. And being like visibly upset and offended. And it's just, ew, it makes my skin crawl. It's like, ugh, I can't breathe. And then it just ends there. Well, I mean, like, our chapters. So it's just like, I've been sitting with that. And that's where I'm saying, where it's like, I feel like we've now covered all our bases, and we're really gonna start seeing some things move now. And it's stressing me out. They're talking about the documentary that was made about them. Shane's asking what Ilya said about him, and he's being upset about it. Ilya says, when you watch it, this is what you will see. Me saying nothing. And I wanted to say you are fucking everything to me. Everything. Okay? We can talk about it if you... No, Ilya grumbled. Is nothing. Okay. It wasn't the first time Ilya had seemed randomly upset about something he refused to talk about. Shane worried sometimes. There were a lot of things Ilya wasn't telling him. There was a lot of things Ilya wasn't telling him. I feel like maybe you're not okay sometimes. Fine, we don't have to talk about it. Just know that if you want to talk, or want to maybe see someone about it, I'll support you. And if you don't want to, I'll support that too. But I'm worried sometimes. And Ilya's just like, yeah, fine, whatever, like, don't worry about it. But it's... The only other thing that I really want to talk about, besides, like, everything we've already talked about, because we just went through, is my prediction so far, based on some context that we're getting, is I think Shane will leave Montreal and play for Ottawa. Which would be great, because obviously then they'd be on the same team, which then maybe implies that they are out. Because I find it really hard to believe that they would be able to play on the same exact hockey team, given what we saw at the All-Star game in the last book, and not, like, be out. There's just no way they could do it. But they mention a lot about Shane being a free agent and how much he loves the Montreal Voyagers, and he never wants to leave them, and he loves them. It's the perfect team. He loves working for them. He doesn't care about anything else. Like, that's his team. But he's a free agent. They keep mentioning that. And so it makes me, like, doubt that he'll be able to sign with them again. For what reason, I don't know yet. And then in the different aspect, Ilya mentions a lot how he needs a star wing player, how he needs someone else to bounce off of on his team. He needs it. That's going to be, like, the thing that really helps Ottawa, like, get better. Like, he needs someone else there. And again, the All-Star game in the first book, Shane centered, and Ilya was the star wing player. So I'm thinking, with how much they're mentioning his free agency and how much Ilya needs another player, Shane's gonna, for some reason, leave Montreal and join Ottawa, and then center, and then Ilya can wing, and they prosper. And they win that year's cup. I don't know. Hopefully. How amazing would it be? How amazing would it be for them to win a cup on the same team? I'm gagged. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want. Oh, if we don't get that, I'm pissed. I'm finding Miss Rachel. Miss Reed, you're done. You're done. I can't think of anything else that I really want to talk about and highlight at the moment. If I do, I'll write it down and we can talk about it. Maybe I'll write it in the description, or we can talk about it next week. But please, how do we feel? How are we feeling? I'm stressed. I can feel it in my throat. I have chills all over my body. I can feel it in my veins. Next time we meet, next week, we'll be reading chapters 13 to 25. We'll be reading chapters 13 through... Oh my god, why do I keep saying it like that? We will be reading chapters 13 through 25, which will be Act 2. And we'll meet for that. Please, 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 if you are following along, tell me all your thoughts. I want to know everything you're thinking. Comment it all. I will read it. And I will respond. I want to know. Please, please tell me what you're thinking. I'm so excited for this. I think this will be really fun to build a really cute community together and just be best friends and read books together. So please, I can't stress this enough. Tell me everything you're thinking. I want to know. Call me Doja Cat because I need to know. I need to know. I know this was kind of a long one, but hopefully, you liked it. And if you do, let me know. Again, please comment everything you're thinking. And I will see you next week for Act 2 of The Long Game. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye!